Hey, it is Doug here. I'm going to talk about keyword research and 3 mistakes to avoid. And I see the lights pretty bright. I look shinier than normal. Welcome everyone. And a couple quick announcements. I want to point out that I'm doing a free no pitch webinar tomorrow, and it's going to be on keyword research. So if you're watching this, you should probably check out the webinar. There's a link in the description. It'll be tomorrow at this time, March 15th, or you can check the replay later. But regardless, you do need to sign up. So just follow the link and sign up. Again, I'm going to talk about the 3 mistakes that I made dealing with keyword research, at least 3. I've made many other mistakes in the past. I think the sound's working. Give me a shout in the chat. It looks like we have Awanish. Welcome. We have Tismi. We have John. We have D. We have my man Duke. Jaron, I remembered your name. I saw your email. I almost replied back today. Good to have you on. We got Eating Lunch and Martin and Alwayne. And okay, cool. People can hear me, and a bunch of other folks too. People are hopping on. Wesley, I saw your email too. I'm just catching up on my emails. So again, I'm going to talk about 3 keyword research mistakes that I've made in the past, and I'm not making them anymore. So that's good. I hope that you'll get some helpful tips and you won't make them either. And I'm just going to get into them in a second here, since we have at least one kind moderator. Hopefully there won't be any trolls today. We could always hope. And before I get started, I had the pleasure of talking to my friend Ellen. I interviewed her. She's doing well with her site, and I'm probably going to publish her interview in the next week or so, next couple weeks probably. And I'm going to probably hook up with Jaron and Wesley also, because they've been doing pretty good also. So just looking forward to sharing some of the success stories out there, particularly with the keyword golden ratio. All right. The number 1 mistake that I made was selecting keywords that were things I could rank for, and actually get traffic, right? So I'll tell you about my first site. So I created a site and I found some keywords. It looked like a decent niche, and I got plenty of traffic. I was getting 200 to 300 visitors per day, but unfortunately, I couldn't monetize it well. So number 1, there really weren't any products on Amazon to make money, right? So I couldn't use my standard that I'm now sort of dedicated to Amazon affiliate type sites. And I had, like I said, 200 to 300 visitors a day, and I would expect to be able to make some money from that. But the problem was, it was sort of like an antique type product where, the only place you could buy them was eBay. And eBay doesn't, I guess it depends on what you're trying to market or sell, but eBay for that particular site didn't convert very well. So I tried to go that route. I tried to use AdSense. That was the initial thought with the site, but I just didn't understand how I could get, the people that were visiting the site to actually click on the AdSense banners. And I guess the retargeting wasn't as strong back then, or at least I wasn't making money from my site. It was maybe a quarter a day or something like that. So not very good. So I think people don't do this quite as often these days, because hopefully you're watching videos from me and learning from other people as well. So I think people know that they should target buyers' keywords, but at the time I thought I would be able to avoid buyers' keywords so that I could actually rank. But then at the end of the day, I never could monetize it. Now, it's often said, and I think I probably said it, if you have traffic on your site, you can figure out a way to monetize it. I'm a little more sophisticated in my monetization strategies nowadays, but back then I was sort of stumped. I was just lucky to be able to put up a WordPress site and publish content, and I had traffic. It was good enough for me. So that's the number 1 thing. I approached a niche that was generally poorly monetized, right? And that is why there weren't any other niche sites. There wasn't any competition because no one can make money from it. It was just kind of a waste. And I couldn't, push my traffic up high enough to like make AdSense worthwhile. And next we got the second issue, right? The second mistake that I made with keyword research is being too greedy and for going for keywords that were too competitive and not understanding how hard it was going to be. So after that first site where I went after a niche that was generally not monetizable, I was like, well, I'm going to go for a buyer's keyword because I knew what that was. I figured out what that was, and that I needed to find people that were actually interested in purchasing something. And then I was like, well, I'm going to go after a large search volume keyword. And I actually hear this kind of question often. Now, I talk about the keyword golden ratio enough that at least some people are, I guess, accepting the idea to go after, lower search volume terms. But back then I thought, well, if I have an option to go for 1,000 searches per month, a keyword with 1,000 searches per month, or a keyword with like 8,000 searches per month, well, it was a no-brainer. I was going to go for the 8,000 because, well, it's going to be like way more traffic, right? Way more traffic, way more profits. And I thought, that's what I need to do. It's just smarter. Why would I I guess, aim too low? But it turns out I didn't really understand like how hard it could be to rank for some of those terms. And when you break it down, it logically makes sense. There's more potential to make money on those keywords because there's more traffic. Oftentimes, it means there's more products, and that means there's going to be more competitors out there. And just the fact that there's more competitors out there, well, it makes it more competitive, right? You don't have to be, I guess, a rocket scientist to figure out that if there's more competition, it's going to be more competitive. So going after like an 8,000 search volume term proved to be really difficult to rank for. And that is one of the reasons why like doing the opposite is working out. The keyword golden ratio sort of embodies that. If you're unfamiliar with the keyword golden ratio, um, you could look on my channel. There's a playlist on it that kind of goes through the steps. Basically, the keyword golden ratio puts the data behind it so that you can actually go after keywords that are underserved versus, right? I was doing the opposite back then. I was literally going for keywords that were overserved. It was way too competitive and much harder to rank for those terms. And even right now, right? There's more and more people. Well, I don't know if that's true, but it feels like there's more people doing Amazon affiliate type sites or affiliate marketing. And those higher search volume terms have potentially even more competition. So, and it doesn't mean you can't go after a specific niche, right? Like weight loss and fitness are like really competitive niches. There's still keyword golden ratio terms out there for like specific competitive niches. So it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you have to find like the approachable keywords in the sub niches, if you will, to go after. And number three, not understanding the keyword research tools I was using and the data about competition. So this is just kind of a dumb one, and I should have known better. But when you're doing keyword research and you're learning how to use the tools, it's exciting just to get some data. And I thought, oh, here's a great term, 2,000, 2,500 searches per month. And I see this like the competition as reported on the like Google Planner, or if you look at other tools, you'll see the competition. And I saw that it was low, quote, low competition. You'll see this on like SEMrush and a few of the other tools too. But that competition level that is noted is around the ads, right? So it's for advertisers. So if it's a low competition ad, or I guess like the keyword has not that many competitors, it's low, right? Low competition. That's a bad keyword to go after because it means it's not very monetizable. Otherwise, people would be running ads for it. The competition would be higher. Now, this is separate, right? This is different than the keyword competitiveness or the keyword difficulty or whatever tool you may be using, and they have some difficulty component or number, right? It's different, but I didn't realize that because I was brand new. And this was like early on with my, you know, niche site career, and I didn't understand the tools. This is one of the most basic things and easily misunderstood because the tools typically that we're using are made for advertisers, right? They want to run ads, Google AdWords, stuff like that. So those are the three. I'll quickly recap and I'll hop over to the questions real quick. So, number one, I was going for keywords that were really hard to monetize. Even though I can get traffic, it wasn't enough traffic to make ads worthwhile, and I couldn't monetize it by selling a product. So, just a little mistake there. Number two, going for keywords that were way too competitive because I was greedy. I wanted to get more and more traffic, but really it was too hard to rank for those terms. And number three, just not understanding the keyword search tools that I was using. Now, before I go to the questions, I want to point out again, I'm doing a free webinar tomorrow. If you just click the link in the description, you can enter your email address, you'll get the link. It's going to be on keyword research. So I'm going to talk about keyword research. And if you're watching this, you're obviously interested in keyword research. So you should check it out. Even if you can't come live, right? If you're watching the replay of this later, or you have an appointment tomorrow morning, sign up anyway. And you could watch the replay. It will eventually go on YouTube, but I don't know when. It's probably going to be several weeks from now. So if you're interested, you should attend. Okay, let's get to the questions. And thanks a lot, everyone, for coming on live. We have Melissa on and Bill from Alabama and Wesley from Alabama. And and Sharon says Colorado must have did me good because I look relaxed. Thanks. Actually, I was a little tired from the drive, but I feel pretty good today. Must be all the coffee. Duke says, what has been my experience with a product keyword review type keywords like iPhone X review or Sony X review? Not super great. I published a lot of those kind of keywords in articles early on, but I don't really publish those anymore. I find that a lot of times, like Amazon reviews or other review sites will sort of dominate those. But to be honest, I haven't looked at them or tried to rank them in the recent past. So my information is a little bit dated, but generally I don't mess with them too much because I don't think I got much traffic from them in the past. Hiking Gear, what's up? Gavin, good to have you on. My man Daniel, for saturated niches, you need to start your site with keywords related to new ideas or specific problems. Good point. Yes, totally. Music Vial says, if you research a keyword and find two long tail keywords, why dogs bite on toys and why dogs chew on toys, if it's a synonym or very close, do you choose one or both? In that case, I choose one. Here's the way to look at it. This is a super common question. I literally got it like twice in the last week. So maybe I should do several videos so people can see it and I can hammer it in. Think about the searcher. So if it's the same type of searcher and they're looking for the same solution, then yes, put it in one article. If it was, why dogs bite on toys, and another one was like how to choose toys, chew toys for dogs or something like that. They're kind of looking for different solutions, right? So it's a different user, a different visitor. If the same article can serve the searcher, like multiple different searchers, then same article, right? And then you can sort of target it in different ways, but that's the way to look at it. John Smith, what's up? We have Dennis on as well. Bill says you wish you could answer the question. Okay, and then Duke says you made that first mistake as well. Michelle says you finally purchased keyword keg. You've been able to find 30 keywords that meet the KGR. Time to start writing. That's awesome. That's enough to get started, and congratulations. Sorry, the chat window skips sometimes, so I lose my spot. All right. And Duke reminds everyone to give a thumbs up. So if you found it helpful, give a thumbs up, and I'd appreciate it. We have Hamza from Pakistan, who is a huge fan. Thank you. And we also have Antonio from Spain. Good to have you on. Very international crew today. Lance is on. Awesome. Bill says, is there an SEO disadvantage in keeping a post published and adding to the word count while it's live versus keeping it in draft status until it's done? Not to, you know what? I've never tried that specifically. What I would recommend is getting it into a good enough state and then publishing it and then adding to it as you go. But I wouldn't publish something that's like incomplete. I would be okay to have it like incomplete, or sorry, I would be okay in having it like not perfect, not polished, but a full, an opening, a body, and a closing. Like if you can do that, that's good. I wouldn't publish like, the opening, like the intro portion, and then like half a review and then no closing. That's kind of strange or something. I would just like to have a complete thing. So as far as like the SEO disadvantage, I don't think so. I mean, I think if it's like misspelled words and bad grammar and stuff, it may not be the best foot to put forward. So generally try and publish as quickly as you can though. Blue Fuse, what's up? Good to have you on. Other Doug. It's easy to remember other people's names if it's same as your own. How many days does it take to rank on page 1 on high competitive words? That is one of those questions that is impossible to answer. So I don't know. I'm not sure. It could be, I'll give a range, but basically the answer is not helpful. 3 months to 3 years. So sorry. If you have a different question that's more specific, I may be able to answer better, but every keyword is different. Elm says, do you think it's worth it to go for a niche that has many good commercial keywords that could rank for a while, but has a low number of informational keywords? Yes, I think so. I believe most likely you can find other informational keywords. I would suggest like looking at magazines. I was down in Denver over the weekend visiting a friend of mine. Have a vlog about it that's going to be coming out once my editor fixes it to puts it all together for me. But there were several magazines that my friends had, and there's a ton of content ideas out there, but if you're in the mode of looking for buyers keywords, like all you see is buyers keywords. But if you go to a bookstore or something and take a look at the magazine rack and you find a magazine that covers the niche, you're going to be able to come up with 100 ideas for topics on informational articles like really easily, and just buy one magazine or flip through a couple months or whatever. Or here's another idea: go to your public library and then you can get like a stack of magazines for like the previous year and then just flip through them. You'll have hundreds of ideas. So I think you may not be aware of informational keywords right now, but they're out there most likely. Prathmesh, what's up? Good to have you on. You made a couple of the mistakes. And let's see, John Smith says competition analysis. If there are authority websites like WikiHow, but with poor content or less word counts, should we go for that keyword? It depends. It's hard to say. If it's keyword golden ratio type keyword, then yeah, go for it. If it is not, then you'll have to do further analysis on it. D card, good to have you on. Kari from France, or Carrie. I'm not 100% sure. Martin says, here is one keyword research tip for people outside the US. Use the US IP address to search all in title. It'll get more accurate for the KGR. Thanks, Martin. You are right. Bill says, example on your above question is adding 1,000 words to a 1,500 word article that's on green in the Yoast SEO parameters already. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yes, do that. Prathmesh says, how many backlinks does it worth for a buyer keyword having 3,000? Okay. I think you're saying how many links do you need? Here's what you should do for a competition analysis kind of thing. Every keyword is different. Even in the same niche, everything's different, right? So general questions about specific things are not anything I can answer. But what I can tell you is how to do it. So here's what you have to do. Go check out the competition, basically. So if you want to know how many links it takes, go to Ahrefs and see how many links your competition has, and then that'll give you some number. I think Ahrefs has some tool within their like dashboard or within their tool set, their suite of tools, and you can put in the keyword and it'll tell you how many links they recommend. And it's only a ballpark, right? So how many links does it take? Well, it depends on how much your competition has, and then it'll give you a starting point. So that's all we can do. Tisme, what's up? Keywords is something that you're very good at finding. Do you think someone would ever want to use a service and find keywords for people? Yeah, there are those services out there. But I will caution you, everything's harder than you think it's going to be. So, yes, I think you could probably do really well. And one of the reasons I don't sell keywords or anything, right? I could have done this keyword golden ratio like service and sold the keywords. But like from a just a personal perspective, right? It's a weird balance of like running a business. I shouldn't put it in quotes. It's a real business. Running a business and like serving the audience well. I think everyone here, we're pushing 57 people. So give a thumbs up if you have the ability to. Basically, like I could sell you keywords and sell you the idea that you'll be able to make a lot of money with these keywords here. These are wonderfully profitable keywords. But the problem is, it's highly likely that you're not going to do anything with them. Not you personally, but like if I could sell you keywords, I could sell you backlink services. And if it doesn't work, then I could just say, well, on the keyword specifically, I could say, well, maybe your on-site SEO isn't that great, or maybe your backlinks aren't great. You need more. If I sold you backlinks, then I could say, well, maybe your keywords aren't that great. Maybe it's your on-site SEO. There's an excuse for everything, meaning a lot of times those kind of services don't actually have to deliver real quality. Keywords are another thing, right? I could have found thousands of keywords, right? I'm pretty good at finding the keyword golden ratio keywords, as you can imagine. I could have found thousands of them. I could have trained teams to find, 1,500 KGR articles, and I could have sold the packages over and over and over. It could be amazingly profitable. And then you know what I could do? I could sell you backlink services on the other side. and just make a ton of money. That is not really like what I want to do. I don't want to like sell the dream and then not have to deliver at any point. Sure, everything takes work. I sell a course, right? I sell a course, but I'm giving you the information, I'm giving you the process. I know it works. And the fact is you have to do the work on the other side. Sure, not everyone's going to be successful, but you have the tools. And with the services and stuff, it's a little tough. So, Tisme, there's a long answer to a simple question. Do I think someone would pay you to find keywords and stuff? Yeah. You need an audience, though. It takes a while to do that kind of stuff. Burhan, what's up? Good to have you on. JS says you feeling keyword golden ratio keyword. You wrote a few articles, and in 2 or 3 weeks, some posts were on the first or second page, currently reinforcing the content of all the posts. Awesome. Good job, JS. That's fantastic. And keep it up. And that's what I recommend for people, right? So if you're unsure, if you don't believe me for the keyword golden ratio, test it for yourself. And actually, you should just test it for yourself anyway. It's really a different way of looking at things. And again, I think if you're just joining, you didn't hear me mention Ellen, but Ellen has been having great success. I interviewed her because she's a viewer on the YouTube channel. She reached out and said, she's making a lot. She's making a lot on her niche site, and she did zero backlinking. I think she's pushing in the 2,000 range per month, and her site's 8 months old. So her site's 8 months old. She's making about 2,000 per month, and it's growing right now. Right. So in February, the shortest month, typically a downtime, she's doing pretty well. So I'm going to publish that soon. But the point is, she published a few keyword golden ratio articles, saw that it was working, and started doing more and more of it. Hisme says you published an article on your brand new blog. It ranked in the 33rd position within a few hours. It's been 2 months, but your position is still the same. Okay, Hamza, that's an interesting thing. Let me ask you, what do you think you should do? And I have my friend Alex is on here. WP Eagle, say hello. I don't know if people saw the eagle over there in the chat. Good to have you on. If you missed his interview yesterday, I published it. It's really good. I have another one coming out later this week, probably tomorrow. I need to actually schedule it. But Alex and I go back and forth the debate on WooCommerce versus no WooCommerce. And we didn't hold anything back, although he's polite as a nice British man, and I'm pretty polite too. So we didn't really get into it too deep, but it was a great conversation, and we actually settled it, since I was talking about Alex behind his back for several months and talking about WooCommerce being terrible and stuff. But we settled it, and I'm going to publish it tomorrow. So keep an eye out on that. Thanks, Alex, for coming on the channel. I really appreciate it. D says, does a hosting server location matter when ranking a site in a particular country? I don't know. I don't think so. However, what will come into play is like the site load time, but it's a secondary type of issue. And I don't have experience in it, D, so I'm not 100% sure. From a just practical standpoint, I would recommend, if you're trying to rank a site in the US, I would probably go for a US based server if you have the option. And I think a lot of times you will have the option. Some of the hosting companies will actually allow you to pick, what continent you want to have servers on and stuff. Alternatively, you could potentially host it in the UK and then have a CDN, the content delivery network service, in the US, which is, they have servers all over the world for a CDN. So that could be an option as well. Lance says, informational posts appear to be less competitive. That's true a lot of times. Any ideas on transitioning viewers over to your own buyer's posts once they find your informational post? Yes. So simple call to action where you just say, hey, if you're interested in this, maybe you're interested in this other article, I would try and put those, sort of like 50% or beyond 50% so that you're not like sending people away from like the solution they're trying to find. Alternatively, Lance, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, an informational article will require some sort of device, right? Some kind of product. So, not always, but sometimes. But just understanding like who would be reading such an informational article, you can suggest products that could be related. For example, if I was reading an article about like Belgian beers and drinking like a Belgian dark, strong beer. I drink a lot of beer. If people are unfamiliar with me, I drink a lot of beer. And it would be perfect in that kind of an article, like how to do a tasting or food pairings with a Belgian dark strong. So it would be perfect to recommend a glass, like a nice tulip glass. So, and then say, oh, here's why you would want to drink through or with such a glass. And here you could buy some. So that's kind of what I would recommend. And all right, as I'm scrolling down, let me just make sure that we're good to go. Okay. And thanks again to all the moderators. Really appreciate it. Burhan, does profile linking, form signature, article submission, image submission, and still worth it for a website backlink? I think profile linking, like social profiles, are fine. The others, generally, no. Here's a good way to think of something, or think of the links here. If you can get the links for free and anyone can get the links, they're probably not super worthwhile. The profile links and like social media and stuff, I think have value because it shows some brandability for the site and the brand, I guess. So I think that is why it can be worthwhile. Uh a Wanish says, can I do keyword stuffing for event blogs? Well, I don't know about event blogs, so I'm not sure, but I think any sort of keyword stuffing is probably not going to work. So I would say no. I don't have experience with it, but my thought is no. Jaron says your first article is sitting with, or your first site is sitting with 52 articles and traffic is growing. You're starting your second blog while listening to this. Very cool. Blue Fuse says regarding the keyword golden ratio, let's say there's more than 250 for the search volume, but the all in title is still low. It should be fine. In other words, if the supply is still low, but the demand is even higher, good case to go for an exception to the 250 rule. Yeah, generally. Yep. That is good. A good way to look at it. And there are a lot of caveats to the keyword golden ratio. But if I told you all the caveats, it'd be complicated and it'd be harder to follow. But yeah. And the other part is like if your site's 3 years old and it's doing well and it has traffic, Google likes it and stuff, you could probably like aim much higher. And I have a sort of a progressive scale that I'm testing right now, but I don't have much data back on it. So actually I have very little data back on it, but in general, yeah, there's some flexibility. The formula for the keyword golden ratio is aggressive so that it works most of the time. Think of it like it's like the FDA like temperature for your meat rules, right? They tell you should, cook a steak to what I'm not sure, like 140. I'm giving a bad example. I need to look this up, but they make it like ultra safe, right? They tell you to cook a pork steak, a pork chop, right, to like 165, but then it's too dry. I'm probably losing a lot of people here, but if you cook it that much, it's going to be a little dry. You want your pork loin like steak to be, I don't know, like 135. You want to pull it, wrap it in some foil, and then you'll be in good shape. I used to watch a lot of the Food Network, if people don't know. Matthew says, anyone else off to a great start for March on their Amazon site? Are Americans happy or something? The conversion rate is 20%. Awesome, Matthew. That's fantastic. Yeah, good month over here as well. What could be the minimum words for a specific product review? Is 500 words okay? I would aim for 800 to 1,000, but that's just me. I would encourage you to test it, right? If your budget or your time doesn't allow for it, go ahead, publish it with 500 words, but come back in a few weeks or so and aim for 1,000 words. And okay, let's see. I'm trying to keep up on the chat, but Prath Mesh says, how much time does it take to create 10 backlinks by guest posting? You just want to know the rough estimate if you do blog commenting and send some emails before asking for a guest post. Um, if you're, this is a very rough estimate. You can do 10 backlinks in about a month, right? If you get 10 guest posts in about a month, if you're spending some time on it, right? So there's so many variables. I would say if you're probably spending about 2 hours a day, you should be able to make it happen. Something like that. It's a very rough estimate. The other part is, if you're doing blog commenting, you're going to get better over times, and it's probably going to go slow at first, right? So it's probably going to go extremely slow at first. You're probably going to pick bad blogs at first to comment on, but you'll get better if you try to evaluate what's going well and what's going poorly, and then you can do more of the good stuff and do less of the bad stuff. But you have to try to figure out what's going good and bad. Otherwise, if you just keep doing more and more and do it harder, right, it's not going to work. In fact, I had for the Project Go White Hat, I had an outreach manager working for me, and at first he did awesome, right? It went really well. We got like the first 10 backlinks in about a week. All right. Got him in about a week and it was good. And then I could be off. It could have been 2 weeks or something like that. But it started off really well. And then there was like a dry spell. We didn't get any links for a while. And it was kind of frustrating. And I think I'm a decent manager. I still have a lot to learn, but I was letting him find his way and I would make suggestions. Hey, here's what's worked for me. I think maybe integrating some of these other ideas into what he wanted to do, because I wasn't micromanaging. I would introduce some ideas for him. But instead of taking any of my ideas, unfortunately, he just did what he was doing harder. That usually doesn't work. So if you're doing something and you're just putting more effort into something that's not working that well, you're just going to get frustrated. So it's usually smarter to take a step back, try to integrate new ideas into it. So Prathmesh, maybe a month. And Thomas says, does a good keyword start to rank after 6 months if very few people are going to it? Does time itself make a difference, or it's more the amount of views that adds up over time? I think if you're using the keyword golden ratio, then the 6 months doesn't apply as much. You're going to be able to rank for it sooner, most likely. And the subtext of your question is like the more views over time make it rank higher. That's not really true, because just over time, the cumulative number of views, and I'm trying to read into your question. Basically, if you're targeting keywords properly, you should be okay to like start getting traffic. And Thomas, further, there is like the 6 month sandbox period. So once you move past the sandbox period, just in general, you're going to be able to rank stuff on your site faster. All right, so you'll be able to like move past that first 6 months, and then after that, things will start growing a little faster. So, Thomas, I take it you're probably within the first 6 months. So, again, some of your the context of your question, I'm guessing, but it doesn't seem quite right. Burhan says, please let me know if we can use click to see check price on Amazon button with the Amazon logo on our review blog post or not. Okay. Couple things. Number one, check your grammar because if you put that on a button, it's just going to sound weird. The other part is I don't think you can because I don't think you could put like such a logo on a button with your own custom stuff. I have to cough again. I apologize. But let me tell you, if you have questions like this, you can just ask Amazon associates. They have pretty good customer service. You like speedy anyway. You may get slightly different answers, but you can literally hop on a chat with them. You can call them on the phone and just say, "Hey, ask that question specifically." And then you have it directly from Amazon from people who most likely at least have the resources to answer the question. So don't forget that you have the ability to ask the actual like company that's managing the affiliate program. You could ask them about their own rules, and I mean, it's totally fine that you ask here, Burhan, by the way. And these questions are great. I mean, very common. But don't forget, you can go straight to the source and get the actual answer from the people. Further, right? So a couple, I think maybe last Friday, sometime last week, people were asking me about plugins, right? They were asking me like what certain things mean in plugins or themes. I don't know, but the plugin, the people that make the plugin, like the Yoast SEO plugin, they have a blog, they have like a big community around it. So like if you ask those people, they'll give you a better answer than me, who is at I mean, I'm bad at most things. I'm good at a small few number of things. So you just got to remember that you can, find answers by going to the source. That's typically the best way to get the answers. Okay. So, Burhan, you can't do that though. I know that. You can't do that. Sakit says, please tell me how many tags I could use in a single post. Well, I'll tell you two things. One, I don't use tags, so I use 0. How many can you use? As many as you want. You can use as many as you want. If you're using it for some sort of other thing, something that I don't know what you're using it for, that's cool. Go for it. You don't need to use tags. I don't use them at all. But you could put, I think, as many as you want. You're probably only limited by the WordPress, number of links. Pratik is on, and yeah, everybody, Alex is on. It's pretty cool. So be sure to check out his video. Published it yesterday, and we hear about the background from Alex. So I didn't realize how experienced Alex was, and he sold an agency back in the day. So definitely check it out. All right. Next, we have Sakit says, how can I change your URL and how many tags can I use in one post? So you could just straight up change your URL. So whatever you want to do. Always maxing. Do I have time to look at your site and give some tips? Yeah, for sure. So I caveat though, probably not what you want to hear. Always maxing. I'll do it, but it's through a consulting basis. So you can go to nichesiteproject.com/hire-me and let me know what you need help with. And then we could take it from there. But I don't do free teardowns. I don't do free consulting or anything. And Anthony says the best temperature for steaks is 450 to 500. Oh man, that's so terrible. And Hamed says, actually, I think this is a normal question, but some of the trolls out there ask questions like this. So, have I tried growing a beard? I have. You think it'll look great on me? I can't grow a beard that well. My hair growing capabilities, as you could tell, are limited. So, thanks though for saying that. Palash, what's up? And yeah, Alex, I will do cooking tips. I just yeah, maybe we could do segments or something. Um, Smee says, I don't have much content, but I feel like I don't have enough KGR keywords to make posts on. It makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong. Any tips? Couple things. One, I have a playlist that deals with the keyword golden ratio. And I think I talk about like how to find keyword golden ratio keywords. I have three tips. So that was the first one. Watch that playlist. Second tip is to sign up for the webinar tomorrow. If people haven't signed up for the webinar tomorrow, it's free. There's no pitch. You can't buy anything. I'm just going through keyword research and giving sort of a broad overview and some specific stuff where I talk about finding more keyword golden ratio terms. At least I think that's the presentation I got tomorrow, hopefully. And the third tip is to look harder because they're typically out there. You just haven't found them yet. It's usually hard to figure out how to find them. And then once you start finding them, then you find like pockets of these KGR terms, and then it's much easier. You'll find like one or two, and then you'll find like 25. And basically, you know, you can get started with that, like find that many and then move forward. And I'll give you a bonus. Fourth tip is to go to a tool like SEMrush and look at your competitors and download a bunch of keywords and then start filtering from there. Alex says, how many articles do you recommend posting on your site? I'm going to give you a range. So to launch your site, I'm going to say 10, keep it in the manageable range. And then I would say within 6 months, maybe you want to have 50 articles or something like that. That's on the assumption that you started to get some traffic, you're able to reinvest and slowly add more content to your site. And then after that, I would sort of base your reinvestment on how much revenue you're making. If you have money to invest on the front end, well, then you can add as many as you want. So the key thing is I definitely believe in doing a sprint of work, a complete sprint, so that you're publishing content, you're promoting the site, you're getting traffic so that you have some shippable stuff. I don't recommend publishing, say, like 50 articles all at once and then starting to promote. You should definitely like do a sprint. Okay. Martin says, how important in the Google eyes if guest post blogs have real traffic compared to zero Ahrefs traffic? I don't know the answer to that question. There are some specifics in the question that I don't like much. So it is important, I believe, to have traffic on like the blog where you guest post. And it's really good if the post actually gets some traffic. Now, the thing that I don't like is you're using the traffic assumption based on Ahrefs. So I don't know, specific case study data or anything on that stat. So it is possible, right? My assumption is that that stat is based on keywords which a site ranks for. But we know that it's possible that potentially a site gets a lot of traffic, but maybe it's not Google organic traffic. So you may be able to guest post on a site that gets a crap load of Facebook or Pinterest traffic or Instagram traffic and actually have a fantastic link, but Ahrefs may report zero traffic. So you want to have traffic, the source of which may or may not matter. Real traffic is a good thing though. So the heart of your question is good. The details are a bit I can't, I guess, go to I can't commit to an answer too strongly because of the details of it. Palesh, what's up? Which keyword research tool is best for low competitive keyword ideas? Almost any of them are fine. But if you're looking for, I don't know what's best because I haven't used all the keyword research tools. I think I would probably check out something like Uber Suggest for low competition keyword ideas, and then use the keyword golden ratio to filter things out. All right, Pratik, if you write a 3,500 word post with 5 reviews with how to select such a product as well, how do I write supporting articles for it? Hmm. I think, again, hard to answer. You just do it. You write articles that support it. If you want to clarify your question a little bit, I mean, you make a plan to write some articles and then you got to do the work and then see how it goes, see the results and adjust if you need to. But if you want to clarify it more, then you can. But yeah, you write those supporting articles and publish them. Pratik says, I link 5 reviews in the article to their full reviews. Will some of them be duplicate content? Um, that's a decent approach. I don't typically do that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it per se. And as far as duplicate content, just, avoid the duplicate content and write it uniquely. So as long as it's not straight up duplicate and, verbatim, then you should be okay. All right. And Duke wisely says any Amazon logo must be pulled from the API. Right on. Yeah, that's right. There are many rules about using the Amazon logo. So that is typically why I just do a text link. It avoids a lot of things. And Matthew says, for competitive, and this is in response to another question from Thomas, I believe. For competitive keywords, you find that time did help. It took a year for a 2 to 4,000 local monthly searches articles to rank. You didn't know about the KGR at the time. It still has no backlinks. It was on the second page of Google, but when you posted it to Reddit, it moved to page 1 and has stayed there. Anthony posted the US Amazon Associate support number. Yes, thank you, Anthony. Most of the time, this is one of the differentiators, right? So I should do a whole video on this. I need to actually write it down. There are a couple things. There are 2 main things that I think make people successful. One is like sticking with things long enough. So Rob and I did an interview discussion actually last week. I published it, the 1,000-day rule. The first year is slow. It feels like nothing's happening. The second year is getting better. The third year, you kind of figure things out. And the point is, usually it takes about 1,000 days once you start your company or once you start your project to reach your old corporate salary. And leading up to it, I mean, 1,000 days is quite a long time, 3 years, right? But the point is you stick with something long enough. So the number one thing is to just stick with something long enough. And, to hit the point from earlier, it's not just to stick with it, but to continually reevaluate what you're doing and to stop doing the things that don't work and do more of the things that do work. It sounds super simple, but it's kind of, I mean, it is a process, a practice of reevaluating your actions over and over again and being like critical, taking feedback from other people, taking the criticism and finding like the good parts of the criticism to apply it. And the criticism may come in the form of feedback of poor rankings and no traffic, right? So when you look at it, it's just you got to stick with it. And then the second thing is to be able, and this is in response to Anthony posting the Amazon Associate support number, is to like exhaust, like look for answers and exhaust all the resources you have, right? So when I got started on actually most things, I like when I look back at like beer brewing, I have more beer brewing books than I have business books because I got obsessed and I read thousands of pages and I learned as much as I could with all the resources that I could find before I started, before I went to my like grandmaster judge, my mentor in the BJCP beer judge certification program, and would like ask questions, right? So I could come asking good questions that I couldn't look up on my own. And I'm not knocking anyone on. I mean, I'm doing these sessions because like I want people to watch them. So ask whatever questions you want. Totally cool. But the most interesting questions for me are ones where you've done research, you understand the context of what you're asking, and then you've done some, further analysis, maybe you've synthesized some of your own ideas and then you ask the question. Those are interesting questions. Those are questions where I'll make a video on them. Like talking to Ellen earlier, and she may be watching right now, but talking to Ellen earlier, she has some like really cool idea stuff where she's taken some of my concepts and then applied another formula onto it. I'm really excited to publish this interview, by the way. That's super interesting. I want to do more videos with Ellen, right? But if you come with a question that you could have like just looked up or called someone and asked the expert on it, you should move away from that, right? You should definitely try and find answers on your own, in general. So again, ask all the questions you want. So I'm giving mixed messages here, but if you're going to be successful, you got to be able to like find answers on your own, and you got to be able to like creatively come up with solutions. All right, cool. So that was a good digression, to something that wasn't even a question. So, hey, Marco, what's up? We have some people that signed up for the webinar. Cool. Yeah, be sure you sign up for the webinar. And I'm going to be doing webinars for the next 6 weeks on Thursdays. So if you do sign up, be sure you click the little box to be like auto subscribed, so that you'll be notified about it. Mohammed says, did you test product versus product conversion rate? Do they work well generally? Yeah, they do work well. I didn't like do a proper test or anything, but those are good. Those are good keywords. Those are buyers keywords because, the searcher is already well informed about the product, and you know that because they're literally comparing two different products. Veet says you posted an article on March 4th and it showed up in 79th and then it's just gone. Is that normal? Yeah, totally normal. Be patient. I take it your site's young. So yeah, give it time. Let me know in like 2 months what happens. All right. So totally normal. Don't worry about it. Again, I take it your site's quite young, definitely in the sandbox period. Let me know. All right. Bill is out of here. See you later. And Sharon says the 1,000-day rule is great. Thank you. Pratik says you meant like an ultimate guide with 5 best products, including some info answers in it. If I do that, what other supporting articles to link to it? I would recommend that you. Okay, so number one, it sounds like you have this idea about the supporting articles, which is a good one, right? It's fine. I would say you should ask the person in which you learned to write supporting articles from, because I think their context around like your strategy, um, they can give a better answer. But I would say here you want to skyrocket it. Here's like the tidbit. Here's probably the best advice I can give you that I haven't mentioned so much before. So hopefully the other people that had already left will come back and watch this. Find 5 KGR terms that are informational. Those will tend to be like less competitive. You'll probably be able to rank them. Right, 5 of those, and then link those to the post that you're trying to rank. So this is like a deep KGR 2.0. If you have links from posts that are ranking in Google, that is a very, very good thing. So basically, you can rank these posts because they're KGR terms, and then you will then have links from terms or from URLs which are ranking for terms that are related. Now imagine, wouldn't it be great to have a backlink from a site that was ranking number 2 for some related term? Well, yeah, that would be great. What if it was on your site? What if you posted the article? So that's a great thing to do. And that is, again, that's a 2.0 thing. It's hard enough for me to like tell people that this is going to work anyway. And I believe that is one of the reasons why certain case studies that I have been successful because of that. Palesh says, but another question is that can I use Easy Azon for Amazon images on your site? Is it a violation of Amazon terms? To my knowledge, no, it's not a violation. Otherwise, Easy Azon would have like some issues. And here's the thing, you can double check, right? Go to the support for Easy Azon, send them an email, ask them your question, and then you can get the answer directly from them. Sharon's gone. See you later. Sakit, do I need to use no follow and widgets where I use the Amazon banner? Not to my knowledge. Julius, what's up? Thomas says, yeah, you use the keyword golden ratio, although sometimes you settle for words at the 260 to 320. Maybe your posts need work. Gotcha. Yeah, aim lower. Do a few that get like 10 searches per month. Sakit says if you find a keyword that has a search volume of more than 250 in the all in title, but the keyword is less than 30, is it good and compliant with KGR? No, it's not. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try it, but I will say if the I'll say that the keyword golden ratio is flexible. If you stick to the rules, it works better. So if you're my advice in general is if you've gotten to the point where you've tested it and you know that it works, then you know that you have flexibility because you've probably seen interesting things with your own experience. So it's one of those questions where if you have to ask it, you shouldn't break the formula, right? You should stick to the formula verbatim, test it first, and then you can start experimenting and stuff. But if you find some good ones and you think it's a good article, go for it. Prathmesh, how much time and backlinks does it take for a term to rank on Google, and how many words do I recommend? How much time? It depends, but you should be able to rank in the top 50 within a couple days. How many backlinks? 0 backlinks. How many words? I say 800 to 1,000 at a minimum, but there's really no upper limit. Okay, and Veet says regarding the question above, the post was in 79th position. Now it's gone. You created a basic site 2017 in 2017 without articles. You started to work on it from 2017 November. Is it still in the sandbox? Well, if I'm not 100% sure. I find, or at least anecdotally, right? I've heard that if you don't do anything, then you really haven't like gotten out of the sandbox, right? So I would say if you just started to work on it in November, Vite, I think the sandbox is starting then. So if you didn't publish anything, I think it's like I think I've never tested this, but I believe there is a sandbox per URL. Now the sandbox gets shorter, right? If your site's like 4 years old, maybe your sandbox is like random and it doesn't apply for every new URL that you post. But if your site's like pretty young, you didn't do anything for a while, then I think it starts from when you start doing something. Okay. And Duke says you have an article that targets a keyword that shows 10 searches per month. In the last 2 months, it's gotten 105 searches. I am going to assume that's visitors each month. So it's like, 10x what, we would have, quote, expected to see for that article. And that's the point. I mean, you know, people, this is point number two. I forgot what this whole thing was about, but the second mistake is going after competitive stuff because I'm greedy. So people are like, oh well, if I have to aim around 250, that's not really that much, except when it's not, because the local monthly searches that we use as our input data, it's incomplete data, right? It's an average over 12 months and it doesn't account for the long tail traffic. So 10 searches per month may amount to 250 visitors per month. Like it could easily be that due to the long tail searches that we don't even know, the long tail searches that have, 0 searches per month. Mohammed says, you need my advice. You have one niche site, 6 months old, doing 400 per month. You don't have enough cash flow to scale it. Should I sell it and start a new site? Um, my advice, oh, I got my friend Derek. What's up, Derek? Another person from the Atlanta area. Good to have you on, man. You were selling items over 1,500 on a new niche site. That's amazing. Very cool, Derek. Good to see you. Okay, Mohammed, if you're making 400 a month, you have enough cash to scale it. So you should reevaluate your definition of scale it, but you could easily, right? You could easily start ramping it up. So with 400 a month, I'm assuming, there's some portion you could pull off of there. Um, so that's my recommendation. If for some reason you need the cash flow, then you could sell it. But the problem is if you sell it, then you're going to go to a point in which you have zero cash flow for at least 6 months. Right. So, and by the way, I'm making some assumptions on that, but like you will have probably zero cash flow, because if you're starting a new site, you're going to have to reinvest a good chunk of that money in. So you should write this out, Mohammed, and figure out like how you can scale it, because 400 a month is more than enough to scale. In fact, watch a video that I published a few weeks ago. It was like a site where I made 70K in 2017. In January of 2016, the site only made $100. By the end of the year, it made like 14,000 or something. So within 12 months, I scaled it from $100 to 14,000, and it was making less than your site. So go watch that video, and you just need to think of a creative solution to your money and cash flow there. Thomas says, if you could remember to remind us when the course opens up again, Don't worry, Thomas. You will know. Everyone will know. It'll be about a month from now, Thomas. I appreciate you saying that. Hope to have you on board. Um, and if you're on the email list, you'll get several emails. And by the way, in a few weeks, it'll actually be like April 7th or 9th or something, that Monday. I'm going to be sending out a free like course, a 3-part course. It's a mini course. It partially starts in the mindset area, but it moves into like starting a niche site. So if you're not on the email list, you should definitely sign up. I'll continually remind people about the free mini course that comes out via email. I may actually do some videos on it. I haven't decided, but basically, Thomas, you'll know for sure about the course. Right. Okay. And I'm going to have to jet here in a few minutes. I have to pick up my wife from the airport. So let's see. Just seeing if we got any more questions coming through. And a quick reminder, it's really cool. People are hanging on for so long. So tomorrow there's the free workshop, keyword workshop. There's a link in the description, so be sure to sign up. Friday, there's the general Q&A, which it turns out is much like this session here. So I believe it's already scheduled on the channel. So I highly recommend you click the reminder and be sure that you go. Um, like, yeah, if you go to my channel's homepage, you should be able to click the reminder or something like that. I think you can make sure that you're notified about it. Prathmesh is something about backlinks where you can link, yeah, interlink your site. That's really helpful. Um, Smee says, when do you suggest getting a site consultation or evaluation? Is sooner better than later, or is it better to get more stats and analytics first? I think probably sooner than later. However, it all depends on your experience level and the like I guess your baseline knowledge, right? So if you set things up mostly right, maybe it's good to wait. Maybe it's good to wait until you're making $100 a month and then you want to do a little bit more, right? And the problem is if you did poor keyword research like I did, it would have been great if I would have gotten a consultation from someone who could have told me that I screwed up so that I didn't spend 3 more months working on it. Because that's what happened, right? So I spent like 3 months on this site and I was like, I don't know how to make money from it. This was a mistake. And then I moved on. And, to the points that I was making before, I moved on. I reviewed why it didn't work. And then I didn't do that stuff anymore for my next site. Next site turned out really good. So, SME, it's hard to say, but if you go to nichesiteproject.com/hire-me, then you can tell me a little bit about your site. And I'll be honest with you, I generally turn more people away because I want to make sure I could help you. So if I don't, if I think you're not at a point where I can help you yet, I'll just say, hey, I don't think it's a good idea. Maybe we'll point you to 1 or 2 videos, and then you'll come back to me in a few months when you're in a spot. Okay, Pratik, do I go over keyword research from a basic level or some advanced? Yeah, it's like basic, and then I do a couple like exercises. It's hard. I think it gets to slightly advanced, and almost for sure the Q&A portion gets more advanced because it's like more specific, kind of like this stuff we're doing right here. DK Finn says it's been great. Good to have you on. Kevin is going to go back and watch this. You've been on vacation from YouTube. Cool, cool. And Wesley, see you later. Oh, and Tisme, this is what I'm talking about. You can also link the webinar to your Google Calendar and have it notify you. Oh, good point. Good point. Thank you for mentioning that. And it's really amazing. We have 62 people on still. And by the way, I haven't said it much, but if you have the ability, click the thumbs up. It is helpful to have other people, find the video and stuff like that. And I'll remind again, sign up for the webinar for tomorrow. Even if you can't attend live, you can watch the replay and, get nuggets of wisdom there. It'll eventually be published on YouTube, but I'm not sure when. Couple other shout outs. Alex from WP Eagle was on. He made a nice appearance in the chat room. I appreciate that. You should check out the interview I did with him. It was published yesterday. So if you just look at the recent stuff or search for Alex Cooper, WP Eagle on my channel, you should find some stuff. And then tomorrow, I'm actually going to publish the debate that we had on like a blog based Amazon affiliate site versus WooCommerce, which for months I was talking behind Alex's back, saying, I don't know why he's teaching people that. It's a total waste of time. Well, and admittedly, I'm ignorant about WooCommerce. I didn't even really know what it was, but I knew that I wasn't using it and things were just fine. But Alex and I talked about it, and we settled it. And I think you should check it out. So this is going to come out tomorrow. Keep an eye out for it. Any last questions before we finish up here? Cool. And I'm just going to take a quick look and see how many people signed up for the webinar. Let me just hop over to one of these tools I got going on here. Let me check again. It looks like maybe not nearly as many as I was hoping. Maybe no one cares. How do we check this? Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to ask their questions. And not many. It looks like at most there were only like 28 people that went to the sign up page. So I guess that's okay. But if people really were interested, I would think it was more. All right. Well, that's cool. Okay, K3 says, you see all these examples of people having small and large successes with affiliate marketing, yet your mind keeps doubting any of it works. You wish you actually knew someone personally. Yeah. Well, and I think what I'm going to do soon, right? So I talked about Ellen, who I interviewed today. I'm going to publish her interview soon. But there are a few people who are actually on the chat that are literally from like the YouTube like hangouts and chats and stuff like that. And those are about as close to people that, that literally were like, hey, I didn't think it worked, which was me before, right? Like, hey, I didn't know if it was going to work. And the next thing you know, they like made small little steps and then they figured out it does work. And then they do more and more. So, all right. But yes, you just need to put in the work. It takes time. Just be patient. Barry says, have I seen websites charging to do guest posts? Yes. Duke is out of here. Thanks again. And a lot of people did sign up. So thank you. Do appreciate it. Sadiq, last question. Sadiq says, you started testing with Amazon France and you got 20 clicks with no conversion. Is that normal? Yes. And what number should I expect to get at least one sale per day? If you get 100 visitors per day, you should be able to sell about one item per day. So 100 visitors per day, hopefully to the same URL. That should be one sale per day and probably about $100 per month, roughly, something like that. Okay. That sounds pretty good. And all right, we're out of here. I got to go to the airport. So see you later. Talk to y'all tomorrow.